All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Nailing History podcast. That extended version of the theme song goes out to a special fan of ours, Andrew S., who says how much he loves how long we play it and how we talk about how long we play it every episode. So that goes out to him. I'm here with John. We're in studio here. John is also the co-host of the show, if you guys weren't aware. It's the two of us.
Still co-hosting, guys. Welcome back for another episode. I'm excited to be in studio for the last show of the year. We really couldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, so as John mentioned, it's the end of the year. It's coming around the holidays. So, you know, what we really wanted to do, like every podcast, like every other podcast, from what I understand, or, you know, kind of what I want to do, I guess, is put together a best of moment, just a year in review, basically. I know it's not a full year that we've done. We started this thing back in, I think, March or February. I guess I should have researched that.
Yeah.
But I think our first episode was published on March 12th.
March 12th, 2024.
And but our first attempt of recording went back into February, beginning of February. Where we really tried to, it was our first effort. And I don't know, I mean, a lot of our fans, when they heard our first published episode, they might have said, wow, these guys don't know what they're doing, but they had no clue how much trial and error went on before that.
There's a lot of testing going, and yeah, we saved it though. We have our first effort. Matt played it for me the other day, kind of getting prepared for this episode. And I don't know if he's got it queued up or not, but maybe we could.
I do, of course. I prepared, which is something. So let's just give the fans a little sneak peek into the first attempt of the Nailing History podcast. This does get me hands up. All right. Welcome to the first episode of the Nailing History podcast. This is your host, Matt, and I'm here with my co-host, aka the amateur history enthusiast, John.
Nice to meet you. It's our first one.
We're not meeting for the first time, in case our listeners are wondering. So that's pretty much how it started. I know you could really tell needed a little work on our delivery a little bit, and my sound effects finger was a hot trigger. I had a hot trigger on the sound effects, I would say.
Yeah, and I was caught flat-footed for sure.
I mean, we talked about it before we hit the record button. We're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Let's start to prepare for it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as the record light turned red on my control board, John froze like an icicle on Christmas morning.
We got in our heads a lot, so I think that day
John got in his head a lot.
Well, we were going to go, I think Matt, so actually it was Matt came down to my house, and we were going to do it. We were going to record there. We were really excited for it.
I said to you for the premise of the episode for the show, I said, what is one thing that you want the general American to know about history? And you said you wanted them to know that the states
made the federal government, not the other way around.
So he
American
went on.
podcast.
So we basically went in. He went on a tire. So that was our first attempt. We stopped that, and then we recorded like a 50 some minute long podcast where it was dry. I think I still have it. Nobody wants to hear it. It was horrible. Then we kind of stepped back and punted. Said let's soak this in. Let's see what direction we want to take this in. So what happened was then we came back like a month later with an idea. Well, we didn't have an idea. John said that he had an idea. And I think our fans know like the basic premise of how this podcast all got started, but I got a little clip here to talk about that. Let's see if we get that.
Okay, so you want to make a
you
want to make a deck of cards, like a normal like deck of cards, like a casino card. But I don't know what you even call it. Playing cards.
It's just to use as a
you have
backstop.
no idea what we're doing with it. Then we could play Pinochle fairly.
Maybe go fish. I was thinking Texas Hold'em, and then we could do a thing where, you know, you deal out cards, and then you have your hand, and then you have the, you know, people are shown, and then while they're being shown, we could like say something interesting about them, or cool, or noteworthy, or have a discussion.
So you want to have a podcast with no video where we play Texas Hold'em and people just listen to us playing Texas Hold'em with cards. And we just
So needless to say, it was not a very well thought out first plan of attack for a podcast where John was adamant on not having video.
But didn't stop me, if I recall, and as my fiance would recall, I spent probably 5 hours designing cards using, you know, Adobe Reader, PDF editor, whatever, making these digital cards, only to find out with the help of one of our top fans that they already existed.
So what John's getting to, we did ask for some input for our favorite moments, and one of big fan of the show, someone who actually was on the show, Lauren G, said that this was her favorite moment. So the moment where we realized that John's idea may not have been so original.
I guess the biggest thing biggest revelation that we've had since the first episode is that the pack of cards that John's great idea was based upon has already been done. We were giving a link immediately from one of our fellow listeners from Amazon. I believe he sent the link with a follow-up saying, do you guys do any research for this show? Which is a pretty, not really. So, you know, we're just trying to talk, do a little bit of research, and try to just use the knowledge that we already have to just start a conversation. So always fact check us. If there's anything to prove that point, is that these cards already existed. But
because we like that, well, that shows engagement, and we really appreciate that. Even if you're going to take it out and give us grief about it, we appreciate the engagement, because that fan didn't have to do that Google search to give us crap.
So, you know, that, as you can see, nothing's really changed in the podcast. I'd say maybe our preparation has gotten a little bit better. I still say definitely question everything that we talk about on this podcast, and we would love the input if we are wrong about anything, but
still ask for your fact checking.
The response of we're just going to use our knowledge and not do much research has kind of backfired on us in the past. We've had some low lights throughout the year, so we've tried to improve on that. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the origin. I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers. It's kind of how this thing got started. Just like quick, I just want to. Well, we reference this a lot when we talk, so I just want to say it. Get our two teams together. And now, after all this time, maybe we could just have a brief discussion of who we think actually has the better cards, and have a little bit of a different viewpoint. After all this time, we've been to museums, we've gone through stuff, this day in history, all this stuff we kind of have learned throughout the years. So let's see if anything has changed from our opinions of our picks. So my aces were George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. I still stand by them. My kings were John Adams and John Hancock, which I got some grief on the John Hancock, but I think you've come around a bit since.
I like him. I like him in large part because he was responsible for giving a commission or signing a commission for one of my top cards, Jack, to do Kachusko,
Well, wait until I tell you the jacks. But yes, okay.
So I did come around to him.
He's a good king.
I like him.
So now, John, your aces were Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, which is fine. We're not fans of Alexander Hamilton, but you got to give him the ace.
Stand by him.
Kings were James Madison and Patrick Henry. I don't like either of those, to be honest. For a king,
yeah, I don't. I think Madison, in hindsight, was a little too flip floppy on a few things. I didn't really know where he stood. He was one way one year, and another day another year.
We'll have to listen back and see if I believe I told you that when you picked him.
It's quite possible. And Patrick Henry, I think he was just too much of a heavyweight in his own state alone.
I believe I said that too.
So
you're saying I'm right.
You're on this
Thank
one.
you.
I'll give it to you.
For Queens, which we just did the women of the American Revolution, I did Abigail Adams and Molly Pitcher. I like those. They're two heavy hitters. John, your Queens, Deborah Sampson and Mercy Otis Warren. Mm-hmm. Deborah Sampson's cool. She's the woman who dressed up like a man to collect a pension. And Mercy Otis Warren was the one who wrote the history book on the American Revolution. That's a fitting pick for you, I would say.
I'd say so, yeah.
And my jacks were Nathaniel Greene and John Jay.
I know where you stand on Johnny J. That's a drop.
I mean, he's a little high. I feel like he's up there in just his impact, positive or negative. We learned a little bit about him being a free tradesman.
Yeah. With the British?
Yeah, which is... Yeah. He kind of bent over for the British, though, which I don't like. But I think he just made a big...
You're a Federalist paper. You can keep... So he was a jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your jacks were Roger Sherman and Tadeusz Kościuszko.
I mean, obviously could choose. I can't put him in king status, but I gotta stand by him, and I think I've brought you on board.
I think
Tadeusz
Kościuszko might be my version of John Hancock.
You've come around to him.
I think I've come around to him. I think you said it was such a stretch for me to pick John Hancock as a king, and I said that Kościuszko. Yeah. Now we've talked about this in the past too. I don't think he qualifies as a founding father still. I mean, this was a purpose for the founding fathers. I just don't know if he qualifies as a founding father.
I can't stand for that. I still don't buy it. He is the reason we won, partly the reason we won the Revolutionary War.
So was Nathaniel Greene.
But he was his engineer. I don't know. Just because he didn't stay around after the battle, does that make you any less of a founding
what I like about Tadeusz Kościuszko is that you like him so much, and he is so much like me. So I like that about him.
Your Polish is very good.
So that was fun. I remember that. That was a good time. But time was real. Time
spent so much time on this card.
Time was really ticking away, though, and we were like, "Oh my God, we already have these cards done. How much longer can we do this?" We're getting pressure from the fans saying, "You got to get yourself out of the 18th century." I'm sick of it. We don't know where we're going with the podcast. So, but we just kept progressing. I think we kind of got into a little bit of a wave of some This Week in Histories.
Mm-hmm. I think we wanted to tie it into something not current, but by having it at least relate to something that, what happened this day 100 years ago, 200 years ago.
Yeah,
just
that was
to make
fun.
It more present as opposed to just randomly talking about playing cards and
and it kind of gave us a chance to go around timelines and places in history. So it was fun. I mean, just obviously we can't go through everything, but John and I got together and we put a list of some of the highlights that we kind of think were our favorite moments. I was telling John today, I said, you know how when somebody says nothing makes you feel less exciting, less interesting is when somebody asks you for an interesting fact about yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly felt that way where it's like, man, nothing makes you feel like you have less hits of a podcast than trying to find the hits of the show. And I will say we had some,
but I chuckle at every time. Every top one we want to talk about, it brought a chuckle to me. So
we've had some hiccups. I think everyone's aware of the technical difficulties that we've run in from time to time, be it John's internet. I remember one time we were recording and the power just went out in my apartment for no reason. And that was it. We lost the whole thing entirely. Nothing saved. But probably one of the biggest and most frustrating things was using this service called Descript.
I think the relationship between Descript and Squadcast has been unceremoniously terminated.
We've had a bit of an issue. You kind of have to backdoor your way into Squadcast now through Descript. It's very bizarre. We've had so many hiccups that I can't even name them all. Lost episodes, John's stuff not uploading, me having to, I always record with a backup, just so many things. And it's fun though. It gives us a hard time. John finally, and then just as an update, John finally updated. He got lightning fast internet down in Maryland. And I think we've recorded 1 or 2 episodes with that. We haven't had any issues yet. So
it's been great.
So yeah, so that's that's what. So let's just go through a couple here. One of my favorites, and it's just kind of been a stupid, goofy running theme since one of our This Week in Histories was Mussolini, the execution of, what's his first name?
Benito
Mussolini. And it's just here. I'll just get. I think this is the first. Let me make sure that this is the first one here.
Killed the partisans. They basically took his body and his mistress. They killed both of them at the same time. Put them, I think, like 7 bullets in both of them. Submachine gun. They drove them to a square in Milan and basically just dumped their bodies in the middle of this plaza. So like all the public was there. And then a mob kind of started forming and people were like peeing on him and like throwing food on him and like spitting on him and like kicking his face in. I mean, it was bad. I mean, there's some, it's a PG podcast, but if you just go on like even on the Wikipedia page, it showed like his body and the examiners.
Did they see his dingling?
Probably, but not in the
That's
pictures they
probably
have.
what Hitler was worried about.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
So then like 2 days later, Hitler died. He killed himself. And then like he was burned immediately. But they say that word had gotten to him that how Mussolini
crazy,
died
dude.
And was like, he's like, it ain't happening to me. I don't want to be on
That's
display.
pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I bet that's what happened for sure. He didn't want them to see his little dinghy.
So that's kind of the premise of what's going on. Then I guess the next week. So that was 1 week of talking about Benito Mussolini, but then I think the next This Week in History that we did, you picked another Benito Mussolini story, and this was about the blood pact between Germany and Italy. And basically what we gathered was that the reason for the blood pact was so that they wouldn't see Hitler's wee.
They became wee bros.
Yeah, so...
Research has led me to uncover that the reason why they wanted to call it a pact of blood was they wanted to make that agreement that if either one of them was captured or killed by the enemy, that the other one would see to it that their wee was not exposed and they would in fact have themselves burned.
I actually did some research.
That was brother pact.
I did do some research, and Hitler, his junk was all messed up. Did you ever?
Right. So that's kind of just been a running theme.
Oh, you drop that in, even in casual conversation outside of the pod.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do, I did real quick, a little compilation of our wee talk throughout the podcast.
Everyone saw Mussolini's wee.
Mussolini had his wee exposed.
Civil War.
The wee agreement, as we call it.
The wee agreement.
We learned how Hitler was scared for people to see his wee when he got killed. No mustache, probably.
Mustache is probably very small.
along with his wee wee, butt naked, wee wee show. Like this is like over broadcast
Mussolini
over
style.
Yeah, like showing their wee wee. Basically, be showing everyone their wee wee. Show their wee wee, but your wee wee
bamboo
still
shoots.
but your wee wee still showing.
Sticking a bamboo shoot up your wee wee.
I just think if you had like a crowd of people laughing at somebody's wee wee in front of everybody, unless they have a nice wee wee,
We'll just start with showing their wee wee.
everybody will see your little wee wee.
You will get the Mussolini treatment.
Oh boy, I just thought that was pretty funny to put that together.
Oh boy. We really
It's pretty good. When you put them all together in one little thing, it doesn't sound as mature.
I feel like we talked about it so much. I actually, when I know like there was a recent thing, I think Biden just commuted a bunch of sentences, and I'm thinking, oh no, now they're not going to have their wee-wee shown. Like I feel like we talked about it so much, I thought that was actually capital punishment at this point in our country. I was like, oh right, oh no, they kill people. They don't show their wee-wees. That's not a thing yet.
I mean, I can't. Man, anytime you talk about Hitler or Mussolini, I mean, the first thing I think about is their wee wee.
Like it being exposed, not like in an intimate setting, obviously. Exposed to the public, of course.
So I hope the fans think the same way. I just hope that if one thing that people take away from this podcast is that if anyone were to ever bring up Hitler or Mussolini, the first thing you talk about is one, Hitler's junk was all messed up, and two, Mussolini's wee wee was exposed when he died.
And Stalin, we're not sure. I think he would have been fine it being shown, but
Do you think?
he was the Man of Steel. Maybe didn't care that much. He was out of the pact. They had that pact, and then the Ribbentrop Pact, and I think maybe Hitler said, I have photos of your wee-wee, and then Stalin got really upset with him, and then that's how they
It's possible.
turned on one another.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what else we got here. One of my favorite episodes that we did was the after Trump, the former President Trump, now President-elect Trump, was assassinated.
Attempted assassination.
Attempted assassination. We went through some of the other assassinations and assassination attempts in history that you may not have heard of.
That was one of my favorites.
I know we had a trivia moment last week. John wasn't there, but we had a trivia moment where I thought it was going to come into play. Long story short, but the people who we were playing with, actually, I was with 4 people, 3 other people. There's 4 of us total. 2 of them, avid listeners, knew what I was talking about. One of them, although a guest on the show, not as much of a listener, think he knows who he is, didn't know that William McKinley was assassinated.
Really?
Did not know. So it was pretty cool moment. You know, you always love that. That's kind of what we do this for.
Right.
Well, we won't get into that. But one of our favorite assassins was a guy by the name of Charles Guiteau.
Well, he would say he wasn't an assassin.
That's true. Well, we'll get to that. So let's just listen to what we had to say about Mr. Guiteau, a little bit of his post-arrest behavior.
He didn't do well. Dictated an autobiography to the New York Herald, ending it with a personal ad for a nice Christian lady under 30. He was totally oblivious.
After he got arrested?
Yeah. On his way to court.
This guy, he's saying he's shooting his shot, giving a dating profile shout out there.
He received ample media attention during his trial for his bizarre behavior, including constantly insulting his defense team, formatting his testimony in epic poems, which he recited at length, and soliciting legal advice from random spectators in the audience via past notes.
Dude. I mean, this guy, he's a loser, but he sounds pretty awesome.
I don't think they
there
used
should
to.
be a movie about.
I watched a whole documentary on
about
this
guy.
It's a nut.
There should be
guy.
a movie about this guy, dude. It's just funny to me. I don't know. Insulting his own defense team, talking in poems. I'll tell you.
Totally oblivious to the American public's outrage and hatred of him. even after he was almost
He thought
killed
everybody
twice.
loved him. Hey, sometimes ignorance is bliss, you gotta say.
And even he said Garfield was killed not by him, but by medical malpractice. So even he called it like he saw it.
No, he didn't.
It says, I deny the killing, if your honor please. We admit the shooting. So he also spoke in the third person, meaning he had other voices in his head. Under the felony murder rule.
This guy freaking rules, dude. I love this guy. I gotta be honest. I mean, it's not cool, but man, that's awesome. This guy's a freaking pistol.
Seriously. Famously danced his way up to the gallows and waved at the audience, shook his hands with his executioner, and as a last request recited a poem that he had written called, quote, I am going to the Lordy. He requested an orchestra to play as he sang the poem. It was denied. As per request with the executioner, Gateau signaled that he was ready to die by dropping the paper.
You see what we're missing by having these federal death penalty people being commuted? I mean, we're missing some quality entertainment here. Also, not having the executions public, we're missing a lot.
Yeah. Just, if you could tell, I feel like a lot more people would, be interested in capital crime if you told them they had a break.
In doing it?
You had a break dance up to the gallows, or you had a break dance into
Capital
the
punishment, you mean, not capital
punishment.
crime. If you're interested in the capital crime, though, I mean, you're interested in, like, committing the crime.
That's the crime that gives you the capital punishment. But if you had to like break dance into your like chair,
I just feel like he was calling America's bluff. He's like, fine, if you want to kill me, I'm just going to take it all lighthearted. I'm not going to take this seriously. I think he felt like if he was like somber about it and like was like upset and everything, I think he would maybe feel as though the American public won. And that
I think he was
James
just pissed he
Garfield
didn't get a job.
But yeah, he was
like,
mad
"I
at
want my
James
job."
Garfield. He was mad at James Garfield because he didn't get a job, right? Yeah. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. That was a fun one. This is a little bit of a touchy subject in the history of the podcast. I think this was another This Week in History. John had his This Week in History was an event that happened during the Civil War with I guess you could consider him some might say that this was a controversial hero of the Civil War. It was about a man named Nathan Bedford Forrest, and he got himself into a little hot water where was this?
Tennessee.
You don't remember what battle or anything?
Oh, Battle of Shiloh.
I think that's what it was. Anyway, John was nice enough to spend all the time to type into ChatGPT for them to create a recall of the events that happened on this day in the voice of Tony Montana from the movie Scarface.
From Scarface. I don't know if you wanted me to read it. We don't have to do it.
Read it.
All right. So check this out.
I do love your Scarface, man. It's
How much is
good.
water running in the back?
Forrest pulls off that crazy move with the Union soldier at Shiloh. He's already been through some serious stuff. See, earlier in the battle, Forrest is leading his men into the fray, charging ahead like a madman like me, Tony Montana. But then, out of nowhere,
Tony
bam,
Montana.
a bullet comes whizzing past, hitting Forrest square in the back. Now, most guys would drop like a sack of potatoes, right? But not Forrest. Nah, he's made of tougher stuff. Big cojones. The bullet, it doesn't kill him, but it lodges right in his spine.
I ad-libbed some
Sending
of it.
shockwaves of pain through his body.
You did.
Most
Yeah, I
men
did.
would be done for, but not Forrest. He's got this insane willpower, this determination to keep on fighting no matter what. Like me, Tony Montana. So there he is with his
Montana.
bullet digging into his spine. And what does he do? He pushes through the pain, keeps leading his men, and when he sees that Union soldier, he ain't about to let his little thing like a bullet in his spine slow him down. He picks him up, uses him as a human shield, like a badass out of hell. That's the kind of stuff, the cojones you need when you're dealing with that.
Wow.
And that's what the Bedford Forrest did at Shiloh. And he said hello to all his little friends as he had a mangled Union soldier by his side.
Is that it?
That's it.
That was good, man. I had to mute myself.
So yeah, we that was fun. I do remember that. That was good. I don't know why you can't say Tony Montana, but Tony Montana makes it like even funnier.
Isn't that the water boy?
Yeah, Joe Montana instead of Joe Montana. Oh, this was probably our most popular episode, our biggest hit of an episode of the year was when we had a guest host, Emily M, come on, and we talked about the infamous O.J. Simpson alleged murder, or can you even say that because he was found not guilty, but then he was found guilty in a civil trial.
I think as long as there's air quotes.
Let's just say the hijinks that OJ was up to in the early 90s. We had a 4-part episode about it, and we had our first episode. The first part of that was our most highly downloaded episode. I think we have 87 downloads of that one, which is wow. I remember that day when we were every time I checked my phone, it was more and more downloads every time. I couldn't believe it.
We really got the word out on that one.
So I picked I think Emily M. I think this was her favorite moment. When we first released it, she said like, "Oh, this was my favorite moment." I think a lot of people thought this was going to be the moment that we could look at in a year from now and say, "This is what got us to 10,000 listeners an episode." So let's listen to this real quick.
Come to dinner at the restaurant, and OJ said her dress was inappropriate, and how's she going to dress when she's a grandma? This is how she's dressing now.
Absurd.
Kato feels really awkward and says, "Can I go use the jacuzzi?" That's how he ended that conversation. And OJ was like, "Okay, you can use the jacuzzi." He had never used it before. That was the first time he'd ever used it.
Oh man, yeah, tight dress. Yeah. Hey, you mind if I use the jacuzzi? Might I get a little soaking in the jacuzzi?
Hey man, you're gonna make Toastman, man. You're gonna make a great grandma.
No, he's talking to OJ.
You could be my grandma any day.
I don't even know. Did he talk like that? I just assume he's like a SoCal, like.
Well, he's from Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, right. He my grandma any day. That conversation definitely went way. It wasn't. That's all. Not all that was said. I feel like he's like, "What do you mean? My grandma wears a tight dress."
Dude, wake up. It's the 90s.
Oh boy. So yeah, I mean that was one of the many highlights of pretty much the Kato and OJ side. Like that was the best part.
Just yeah.
I mean going to McDonald's.
The jacuzzi,
going to McDonald's.
Still wonder what the electric.
Just like him being the person that basically got OJ caught for like messing up his timeline.
Not getting a Big Mac.
Yeah, he didn't get it. He got filet of fish, I think.
Yeah,
But like OJ like got a Big Mac and ate it in like 2 bites. Kato said that was what really threw him off for the whole night. Well, you see him behaving any different, Kato? Well, he ate a Big Mac in 2 bites. But I don't know. There was some late for a date was another quality like little snippet from there. That was Nicole's license plate number. That was a good one. And like, if we think that might have been why, what was like, it was because she was late for,
she will never be late for a date again.
Yeah. Like he's like, you want to, I forget how we twisted that around where it was like a negative thing on her, where Emily M thought it was cute. We thought it was more of like a warning shot.
Be warned, fair warning. If you're late for a date, like with the car I bought you.
Yeah.
Things happen. Things will happen.
The whole situation with her making fun of him because he can't swim and he's going to be a frogman or something. Wasn't that a whole thing down in Cabo?
Yeah. Show got canceled before it even got aired.
Yeah.
Pilot episode. That was great. Where did we end with that? We didn't even end up getting to the trial, right?
No, we're kind of holding off on the trial. We'll have to due to popular demand, I think most people want, based on our episode download trend, it seems like most people want Emily M back on the show. I mean, there's some other things. Like, I mean, I don't know if I need to play any clips from these, but, you know, we had some fun times, some fun field trips, some nailing history field trips. I think maybe one of these days we were kind of talking, like maybe we could kind of put together an organized field trip, charge for it, maybe make some money on it, charge admission. You know, we could just take them around to everyone can experience the lack of planning that John does and the headaches that come along with it.
Top 6 fans, top 6 entrants get 50% discount. we'll put that. You can cash that check today. If anyone signs up today.
Yeah.
By sending us a text.
And and we'll just first 6 people to send us a text gets 50% off of a trip to wherever we decide would be interesting at that time. And we'll take you guys around and act like we're the experts on something, and we're not. So, that'd be kind of fun. I mean, John, so there's pretty much 3 field trips that we went on. So we went to Harper's Ferry to check out John Brown and all of his nonsense down there.
The raid.
That terrorist. Then we have the American, the what is it? The Museum of the American Revolution. Is that the official?
Revolution? That was back in March, April.
That was right around Easter. And then we went to the Tadeusz Kościuszko Museum.
Before it closed for the season.
So how would you rank those in terms of overall entertainment factor?
Oh man, there were some highlights to all 3 for sure. Dead fish hands was great from the American Museum, the American Revolution. That tent escapade.
Yeah, I got actually a clip here. You want to hear our first discussion of the tent.
Anyway, it was dumb, and it was like 5 minutes long, and then with no build-up whatsoever at all, they lift the screen. The screen automatically retracts, and there it is, the tent, and it's like the music. It's like, oh,
the angels sing.
And like this light show, and like you can kind of see inside of it. To some point, I was like, "Is this still a video?" Like I was kind of confused, and there was no like, "Oh, this is where this part was." It was just like a bunch of like light show and this heavenly music coming from wherever, and then couldn't take any pictures. Don't forget, and then that was it. I don't know if we were supposed to be impressed with it or what. You couldn't go up to it. You couldn't see it. It was behind glass. And all that it was a freaking piece of canvas.
Yeah.
The fact that like this is just like so, oh man, it was such a letdown.
I think Washington would be upset with the cult of personality that the museum had of him. And other people, but him in particular, especially because he was a disinterested statesman who did things for duty. And when he served his duty, he went back to his farm. They called him out to be president. He served his duty again. Like the guy was duty bound.
I just had to leave that. I know, like it. I just had to leave that in there because of how many times now will John talk about how George Washington was duty bound. Are you starting to see a trend at least?
We probably could splice up a little something over there.
Maybe we'll get a little.
But
yeah, so that was good.
Was
I mean, that was the most disappointing. I mean, I think we went into that with high hopes. I think that was our issue with that museum.
They only needed was a silhouette. They could have brought the lights up. I was thinking about this. Bring the lights up and then just have a silhouette of him in the tent.
Yeah.
Like that's the casted, like the contrast.
Or like, I was thinking like, here's the bedroom.
Down.
Oh, here's the bedroom. Here's where he did this. Here's where he would write letters. There's nothing. They spent so much time on the movie where they basically just blasted Robert E. Lee for having it. Then it wound up in Robert E. Lee's family.
Arlington, yeah, because they were related. Yeah, there was a relation.
So it was pretty wild. I mean, that was so disappointing, and I really, truly, because it was so stupid that they were like, you can't take pictures because the flash will ruin the fabric, the canvas, but then they're flashing lights on it for the show. I truly think they didn't want people taking pictures so that other people would see how lame it is.
They would lose out on that money.
Yeah.
People just wouldn't go.
Yeah.
It was the highlight of the museum. And for like,
it's still there. If anyone wants to go see it, it's there till February 2025.
I think that tent that day was a highlight. Harper's Ferry was a good time. Parking was great.
Parking was classic.
What do? We was just walking around Harper's Ferry was cool. It was a really pretty day. We went on a hike. That was nice. I really wish we saw a little more consideration from some of the attendees of the national park, hat wearers and as such. And I think we learned a valuable lesson in just being considerate that day, especially it was hot. I think it was July. It was really hot out.
Because everyone was just kind of on edge. I think it was June, actually. I don't know if it was July yet.
It was the beginning of the summer.
It was hot. It was hot. It was hot. That was fun, though.
And then the to-do's Kosciuszko. I think seeing that national park ranger.
Yeah, the mini me park ranger on our way to the smallest national park. That was classic. It was fun talking to those people. I mean, the park rangers in there. It was funny to hear they're like, yeah, I don't know, it's an easy day. It's an easy day.
It's just Kosciuszko.
It's cute. We got their Kosciuszko day. I don't know. I'm hungover. Just enjoy. Basically, it was funny. And I thought the Kosciuszko Museum was just, I don't think I was pleasantly surprised because I kind of exactly how I pictured it. But it was cool learning about that guy. It was interesting. That was an interesting day. I got to give it to John. It was a bit of one of the few times where I'm like wrong about something, or I'll at least admit it. Yeah, I'm wrong a lot. I try to, especially if I'm wrong about opinion. Being wrong opinion based, I'm not good at admitting that I'm wrong. So I did for that one because I thought that
I got him up to being a 10 in your cards, in your deck of cards.
I think so. Yeah, I think I said he wasn't a face. Yeah,
he's a 10.
Exactly.
So I gotta tip myself my cap for that one.
We did my citizenship test. So the citizenship test, I got 72. I got a 72 out of a 100, which would have passed me.
C's get degrees, passports.
Unlike you didn't think I was going to pass, but I did. I did poor in government, but I did okay in everything else. We had, and then in the same vein, we had a trivia showdown. Mark C hosted us a trivia showdown where we went through the History Channel trivia game, and there were a couple good questions on there. I think one I'll just I'll play a couple of them here. A couple of my favorites here.
The noble clans Minamoto and Taira clash. Tara. Minamoto and Tara. So just use your racism. See what you can guess. Minamoto and Taira.
I don't know.
You might as well guess.
South Africa,
Japan.
Yeah. What? They're Asian names. Obviously.
were they? Well, you didn't. You should.
Minamoto.
Well, you pronounced them wrong. You should. Oh, Minamoto. Oh, what the?
Minamoto, wash my hand.
You led me astray on that. How did you pronounce Minamoto?
Minamoto.
I was thinking like Minamoto. No, I guess that's Chinese too.
Yeah, that would
I was thinking more like I was thinking tribal.
Asian country.
I was thinking like you didn't do it right.
He got it right away. How did I not do it? He got it immediately.
Got a little heated there.
Wow.
You remember that one? I remember being completely broadside. I thought it was definitely an African nation. I did not understand the question. Pretty funny. And then John, when we did our little pre-show for this one, John, he just loves how wrong I was on this answer, and he wanted me to bring this up again.
It's closest to Africa. You're right.
What U.S. state is closest to Africa? I want to say, my guess is North Carolina.
What? How can North Carolina be closest?
I feel like North Carolina is the furthest out west or east, isn't it?
No, it's not even close. What are you talking about?
It's pretty far. It bulges out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
It's not.
The U.S. bulges out.
Okay, I'm done with it. That's a terrible guess. Go ahead.
So the answer was Maine. John got it right. I do want to read. I guess I read this on air, but I'll read it again. Fan mail that we got. Thought I'd listen to John and stay curious regarding the North Carolina answer. I can confirm that Quoddy Head, Maine, is 3,154 miles from Morocco, making it the closest state to Africa. Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, is 3,625 miles from Morocco. It's not even the closest state below the Mason-Dixon line. Nice try, Matt. Signed, Dick Pepperfield.
I'm looking at a map. The whole state of New Jersey is further east than North Carolina.
I don't know. I just had this picture that there's a big hump in the around the North Carolina. And I just thought I still go by. There's no way. Like the argument, I cut off the rest of the argument that we had. But like my thought was, you have from Maine. You also have to go south.
You do have to go south, but if the very tip of Morocco, for instance, like that's pretty high up. That's basically Europe.
Is it?
Yeah, southern Spain.
Okay.
Strait of Gibraltar.
Well, I don't know my geography, which I think was how I ended that quote that I cut a little short for here was I told you I stink at geography. So, and I do. I still.
Had you said Florida, you wouldn't got as roasted.
You think?
Yeah, because it's a peninsula. It's jetting out. And it actually on a map, I don't know if it's a scale, but it does look like it could be pretty close to Senegal. But yeah, that was a highlight.
That was a highlight for John because I was wrong. So
Correct.
I think that, I mean, you know, I'm sure we're missing some highlights here and there. I hope we are because there's not that many.
Still send us a text, fans.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the year
We did ask for we asked for input and we got none, so that's what we were stuck
another
doing.
Week left in the 2024.
Which, speaking of that, let's go to the lowlights. We had a couple lowlights that I would say, a couple episodes where we recorded and then afterwards just kind of thought, wow, we didn't do too good of a job there, and the feedback was less than positive. Which, hey, we still appreciate it. Just to name a few, when we tried to review the movie Revolution, I just think movie reviews, I mean, just movie reviews in general, a review of The Bridge of Spies was just not good.
Our fan said that.
I just remember it being not good.
I enjoyed the film.
The film was good. You didn't even remember we watched it 3 days ago.
I remember that I thought the true story was better than how the movie depicted it.
Well, I remember you being like hell-bent on that, but yeah, so just movie reviews in general, it is way harder than you would think. I still remember
when you first called me though, and your sister said, "Oh, you know what you guys can do? You could do movie reviews," and you were so excited. I remember sitting outside, summertime, it's hot out. You were really excited.
It definitely wasn't summertime, but that's fine.
It was spring.
Yeah,
it was nice weather out. You were really excited about it. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I found that Al Pacino movie, and I'm like,
yeah,
this
Revolution.
is gonna be
That's
great.
it. Yeah.
It's going to make itself. Episode's going to sail. Fans are going to love it.
We recorded that episode twice, if you remember. We did it once, and it was like 2 hour. Our summary of the movie, our summary and review of the movie was 2 hours long for a movie that I don't even think hit 90 minutes.
No, it was.
Was it long?
It was long. It was directed by the same guy that did Chariots of Fire. It was a snooze fest. The movie was really bad.
I hope we talked somebody into watching it, though. It was an enjoyable bad.
Anytime, if any of our fans ever hear us say, "Do you want to get some eats?" I mean, you have to watch the movie if you want to get the reference.
Just Al Pacino doing a New York, Long Island accent in during the American Revolution. It was insane. It was an insane film. It was insane.
Making rope. Just
having a battle that never happened in Valley Forge, just being completely historically inaccurate. It was just everywhere you look at it.
I guess it was fitting. I don't feel as bad as that being like one of our worst episodes because the movie was that poor.
Yeah, but it was. I remember the bimetallism talk was a bit of a snooze.
Well,
I think
tried
you
to pepper
really.
it up.
You didn't do too good of a job. I remember having to do a bunch of editing on that.
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz stuff was cool. We barely talked about that. It was mostly you rambling about bimetallism. The Pardons episode, which is recent, and we've gotten a little bit of some negative reviews from that. So, you know, we're always trying, and they can't all be bangers, as me and John would say pretty much every time we end an episode. There's just a little bit of a, I don't even know what to say. It's like you just. Disappointment, like you get so amped up before we record these things, right? And then once it's done, you're just like
that's it.
Yeah,
well, I guess that's it. And I say stay curious, and then you're probably like, I'm brain dead.
With the listener.
Yeah. Stay curious. Well, I would if you didn't put me to sleep for 2 hours talking about silver and gold.
But yeah, so they can't all be good. I think probably, thank God, the one thing that we avoided is John. So again, when we were talking about like after these cards we didn't know what we wanted to do. We didn't know what direction we were going to go. So we were doing if you remember a couple episodes, we were looking at like, are we going to watch Liberty Kids?
PBS,
the PBS children's show that Aaron Carter did the theme song for. We were going to do that.
We were like, do we want to make it more serious? Do we want to make it more slapsticky, or do we want to try to find a way to just incorporate more highbrow?
So in one episode,
academic stuff.
So in one episode, we did both, and just want to. I don't know, John. I don't know if you remember. Here's your pitch. Here's your pitch for covering your book, Albion Seed.
Actually, I didn't find it. One of the podcasts I listened to is by the same author who wrote that book on the founding fathers, who our good friend and fan DJ TJ does not approve of. But I heard about the book from that gentleman, and it sounded super interesting, so I went out and got it. And so it's called Albion Seed: 4 British Folkways in America, and it's pretty.
By the way, you can tell that this was an episode where we had some technical difficulties with our remote recording because the sound quality. I mean, you can hear. It just sounds hard. You can hear. I don't know. Maybe because we have headphones on right now, but you can hear like all that ambient noise.
It was recorded in a tin can.
Beastly book. It's about 900 pages, and it's written by this author, professor up in New England.
Can you imagine,
Professor?
You're reading a 900-page book.
No, can you imagine being a listener to a podcast and sitting in traffic on 76 on the way into the city of Philadelphia, and this is what you're being subjected to?
And so I just found it kind of interesting. A lot of this stuff predates the revolution and whatnot, and it really does a deep dive of these 4 English-speaking groups that had very diverse and very different perspectives and culture ways and religion, almost most importantly.
Very important. I guess I got a lot of more jaded over the
to
year.
America. And so then the author makes the claim is that even though, we don't have a lot of the same,
You didn't cut me
aspects
off.
of the religion that they may be promoted.
I do cut you off. Let me see.
I found the book really interesting. I thought spectrum. We could try to go a little deeper on it. Matt was a little uncertain and unsure when he started reading it. I got a worried text from him saying he doesn't know if he's up to snuff to read this.
I don't think I'm smart enough. Let me just cut in here. I don't know if our listeners, if John's description of that got you guys excited and thinking that this is
how
a
that would
very
be possible.
fun and entertaining book to read. I was able to read the prelude and the introduction of this book, and the prelude is a history of history. He goes through the history of historical studies. There couldn't be anything more boring than learning about how the history of studying of history has progressed through the years.
It was like a page. It wasn't even the introduction.
Too long, dude.
So then, just to wrap that whole thing up, I just thought it'd be funny. I went and grabbed an example of how boring the preface of Albion Seed. I kept saying prelude, but that's like part of a song,
or like the story. Preface is just like.
So I read an excerpt. If you remember, I read an excerpt from the preface. Here we go.
Volume 5 are now in draft. Centers on a major problem in American historiography.
Yeah.
That's the study of history.
Is about the problem of cultural origins. The second volume, American Plantations, studies the problems of culture and environment in the colonial era. The third volume examines the coming of independence as a cultural movement. Volume 4 takes up the problem of cultural change in the early republic. Volume 5 is about the Civil War as a cultural conflict. Other volumes will follow if the author is allowed to complete them.
I don't think he actually wrote a book entitled American Plantations. Didn't happen.
Who's allowing him to do whatever? It's a free country. You could have written. What does that mean?
So it's just funny. I don't know. It's just.
Have you ever picked up that book again?
No, I think again. My Kindle. I texted you. I don't use my Kindle. I haven't been reading as much as I should be. Full disclosure, just in general. And I started trying to dust off my Kindle, which I don't really even like using a Kindle, but it just makes sense to use it, I guess, because it
has its time and place for sure.
So I bought Wicked, the novel, because I went to see it and I wanted to read the book. My sister said the book was better than the play. She saw it on Broadway. She never saw the movie, but she saw it on Broadway. She said she enjoyed the book a lot, and the Broadway play was a bit of a disappointment. So I bought the book, and I'm like, I don't want anyone seeing me carrying it. Yeah, so that's a good use of a Kindle book.
Yeah. We're discreet.
Yeah, but that's not the only reason why I did it. I was kind of just like, I want to get it. I want to use this Kindle. I have it here. I never use it.
And about 30 pages on another founding father.
Yeah, Francis Marion. And then I went to load this up, and I lost a bunch of books on my Kindle. And I texted John. It's like almost a Kindle. What did I forget what the word was exact. The wording was exactly what I said. I lost the Francis Marion book off of my Kindle. I think the Kindle's finally realizing that I'm all talk. It's learning. It's self-learning.
It's going through an update.
It says this guy doesn't know how to read, I'm pretty sure. So I lost that. I lost the Francis Marion book, and I think I lost Albion Seed too, because I did download that on the.
Bummer.
Yeah, well, that's not much of a miss. But then some random ones. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta go back into it. And do you use the app Goodreads?
I don't. I've seen it.
It's like a social media type, not social media, but it's a way to like follow your friends and see what they're reading, and you can they had a big thing was that
website
that an assassin himself, Luigi Maggione, they were like reading his like Goodread like reviews was part of like his like character and like on the internet.
Yeah. Like what he
and I
was
think
reading.
they were saying that he was like commenting on Ted Kaczynski's memoir.
Oh yeah, that one of his books. I saw that. I just went away from that website.
I feel like and I think there were some like God, what do I want to say? Like agencies who like were looking out for him. But if anybody would ever make a review of like Ted Kaczynski's book where it's like, this guy actually made some pretty good points, even if he may have, and like whatever, like that person should immediately be put on some kind of list. If you can think it, and I'm sure you do, John. You can think it. You could maybe
Google it.
You can say it maybe to your friends, but you might not want to like put it on the internet. If you've gotten to the point where you want to agree with Ted Kaczynski in public on the internet, you got to get put on a list somewhere. I'm all about free speech. Don't get me wrong. And he can say it. He shouldn't get arrested for it, but just keep an eye on him.
Keep a journal. Write it in a journal. Don't let anyone see it. Don't act on it, obviously. Clearly, that's number one.
Yeah.
But if you have those thoughts, it's like, he wasn't on. It's obviously, killing anyone in cold blood, not a good idea.
Well, there were 24 ladies waiting for him at his arraignment hearing today.
I
So
think he didn't do it.
I think they just think he's hot, which he's a pretty good looking guy. Nice Italian stallion.
Mm-hmm. Proud Baltimore family.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. I mean, John, I don't know if we're missing anything. Fans, I know I kind of breezed over the lowlights because they hurt. They sting a little bit.
Maybe we can give our fans. You have some stats for us.
I do have some stats for us, actually. Thanks, John. Just a little bit of a year in review. We'll be open. I guess you call this our yearly report, right?
Mm-hmm. Report card.
Our report card. So we started in our first episode was March 2024. We've had 34 episodes. This will be the 35th episode.
That's incredible.
For a total of 2,005 minutes of pure entertainment.
You serious?
Yeah.
What's that? What is that? 2000?
2005.
2005.
Roughly. I estimated when I added it together. Like I kind of averaged around
33 hours.
34 episodes, 33 hours. Yeah.
How much would you say you spent editing?
Well, I got that. So 794 downloads through Buzzsprout and 36 views on YouTube. So a total of 830 total listens. We have 9 subscribers on YouTube and 11 followers on Twitter. And I have here 0 minutes John spent doing any editing or contribution to the quality of the podcast.
No, it should be at least 20 minutes. I upgraded my internet. That setup was very easy once he installed it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I would hope, as I have agreed to say that I was wrong about Todo's Kosciuszko,
I could do more.
I would hope that you could say that you were wrong and your internet was trash all that time. And your internet was
a
the
big
problem.
It was a big problem.
And your quality of life has improved since you've changed your internet. Not just for the podcast, I assume.
It's been great. It's been good. It's been a switch that had to happen. We're saving money. We're getting a better product. It's fantastic all around.
Yeah. So then just one last thing. I don't want to, I know NPR or like PBS, they have their begging, what do they call it? Their fundraising episodes and everything like that. And we're not going to have like a fundraising like a drive or anything, but just wanted to let the fans know how much that this has cost me financially over the year. So the initial setup, which came with a soundboard, 2 microphones, the stands, and headphones, was $582.99.
It was half price.
I've
50% off.
bought extra microphone. I have bought some extra microphones and cables for additional people. Should we want to have more guest appearances, which we've had a couple. That was a total of $95.97. I upgraded my microphone stand, the microphone stand and cables. That came to $273.99. The Buzzsprout subscription year to date was $326. My Descript subscription to date was $276.17 for a grand total of $1,555.12. Which, I got to be honest, that's a lot of money, but I've gotten an enjoyment. I've gotten the return.
Yeah.
I think the fans have enjoyed at least pretending to like the show. It's kind of just been a bit of a running joke. And I just think, it's been fun. But that being said, if anybody would like to donate money to recoup some of this, you can send me an email. Send us an email at nailinghistorypod@gmail.com and we'll send you directions on how to donate.
I don't think you'll be able to deduct that off your taxes. Just
you don't think?
I don't think so. I think we're
I'd have to incorporate.
We're not a registered nonprofit. I don't think 501, right? 501.
Yeah. Do you have any stats, John? Done any preparation at all?
I guess I paid $0 for all the.
But do you have anything to say? Any stats, highlights, lowlights? I know we put most of this together and you bring anything up, have anything to say?
I'm shocked at how many episodes we've done. If you tested me and gave me a test to say just, number our episodes, I'd struggle. But that's a good thing. Time flies. We've put out 33 hours of gold. Well, not gold. Mostly silver, cheap and silver.
Maybe out of those 33 hours, 7-8 hours probably been pretty quality entertainment.
Quips and one-liners and chuckles. We had some good laughs. We had some good belly shaking laughs.
Speaking of which, let's just we'll just go through that. The one thing that we've done a lot of is some singing. We're not scared to use our pipes that God gave us.
Nope.
And I put together a bit of a quick, it's not super long, a quick little compilation of some of the better singing moments of the year.
And I'm stoked.
And they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're killing time, filling out forms, standing in line. Head like a hole, black out your soul. I'd rather die than give you control.
You got a good voice.
I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going in the sunshine of your love. When the truth is found, to be lies and all the joy within you dies. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Sorry that you feel that way. The only thing there is to say, every silver lining's got a touch of gray.
And then a hero comes along, Emperor Norton, with the strength to carry on. And you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. I've had the blues, the reds, and the pinks. One thing's for sure.
Love stinks.
Love stinks. Yeah, yeah. Love stinks. Yeah, yeah. Love stinks. Yeah, yeah. Love stinks. Yeah, yeah.
I just don't know why you had to feel like you needed to ruin that Love Stinks song by just randomly saying stinks. You ruined the timing of the breakdown. I did as best as I could. I'm doing as best as I can with what I got here, ladies and gentlemen, fans. I guess one way to sum up your general attitude towards the show would be this.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really stoked that we're back in live in person. I'm stoked. Let's do it. All right. Really stoked about this one, but I'm stoked.
We're stoked. Not gonna.
I'm not stoked. I'm stoked. We're stoked to have you. We're stoked to have you back. I'm stoked to be here for another week. Stoked at that.
I'm stoked to be back.
Stoked about Elon.
And we are stoked.
Stoked.
Stoked. Thank you so much.
You're stoked. You're stoked a lot, and
I need a thesaurus for the new year.
A little bit.
I think I know what I need for Christmas.
so I guess that's a good part. Let's say we got end of the year. Let's do what is, as far as the podcast goes, what is your New Year's resolution for the podcast? Maybe use ChatGPT a little bit less. What do you think?
Less. I kind of ended up down a rabbit hole. It gave us some good moments, but I think I used it a little bit too much as a crutch.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. He's admitting.
I've admitted it. I can put more effort and thought, my own thoughts, it's into it, and go from there.
I like that.
But we'll take it 1 week at a time, and
maybe fans, if you want to let us know some of the things that you want to hear about
in the new year.
In the new year, any directions you might want us to take, we'll be happy to take them into consideration. Yeah. I noticed you didn't ask me what my New Year's resolution would be for the show. I want to say like less. I don't know if you've noticed I used like as a transitional word. Is that a word?
Yeah, into something, to another talking point.
I say like a lot. Like, like when I'm saying like, I say like a lot. Like, like, and I was just like, and then she's just like, and like, I say like a lot. And that's just like, it's like, I'm working on it.
So I gotta drop like, I gotta drop stoked.
You can continue to say stoked. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of goofy. It's very like SoCal for somebody who's like a Confederate, apologist.
Oh boy, I'm gonna end up on a list.
Nah.
I like getting our fans more involved. I think sticking to
maybe get some more guest appearances on the show. Get Emily M back
probably
on.
do another OJ.
Yeah, get
Bring it
Emily back on.
Bring it back up. It's been 6 months. I think it's been 6 months since those episodes.
It was probably like April. Oh yeah, I mean it was April. There was this. It started off as This Week in History for the Bronco chase.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been April. Wow.
Every person I talked to with 2X chromosomes said that was their favorite.
2X?
2X.
What do you mean, women?
Women.
I don't even think it would be 2X chromosome. It was just like if anyone had a single chromosome in their body, they said that was their favorite one. I don't think it. Every single person I was like, well, what's your favorite episode? The O.J. Simpson was good, I guess.
I think it was the subject matter, but I do think maybe it's something we could consider. I think having 3 people, we have 3 microphones. I think having 3 people just changes a dynamic. I think you have more to play off one another.
I just don't know if we're going to be able to get a third person to commit. 3-person definitely is a good dynamic, but I also like that it's a treat when we have a third person.
Mm-hmm. I like the sound when we call people too. Like the sound of someone, like a phone, like someone phoning in, but we phone them. They don't phone. Usually it's radio stations like, hey, we're going to take a call here. And they just like press play and like there's a speaker on the other end.
Yeah.
But we have to call.
A little bit of a bummer.
But I do like that sound. I like the episode when you called me.
Well, hey, I'm just looking at this now. My highlight was always doing the rock and roll cards. That was my number one highlight. I had a blast. I always had a blast doing it. And you want to do a couple of them for old time's sake?
We can do a couple to ring in the new year. It's like old time rock and roll. That kind of music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days of old with that old time rock and roll.
Is that Bob Seger?
It is Bob Seger. And fun fact for our fans, if I recall correctly, one of our listeners, I believe it was Dick Pepperfield, sang this song at our grade school talent show.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Well, he pantomimed it.
Oh.
He didn't actually sing it.
Really? That's funny. Well, Dick, you might have to
bring it up.
Might have some explaining to do the next time we get together.
Well, you can send us a text. Confirm it or deny. Either or, we'll be happy with it. Your turn.
Oh, boy. I don't know this one. Well, I'll give it my best shot. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you.
The Pretenders? Don't I never hurt you.
Yeah, Chrissy Hine.
Stand by you.
How does that go? Take me in, take me in, take me in.
Isn't Chrissy Hine?
Yeah, I mean that's what's on the card. Here we go. This is a good one for me. 10 soldiers and Nixon's coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming. 4 dead in Ohio.
That's pretty good. That's a good rendition of him. He seems like a weird guy. That's none other than Mr. Neil Young.
Yeah. I honestly didn't know that was the words. I didn't know it was Nixon coming. Did you? 10 soldiers and Nixon coming. I
just knew it was about the shooting at Kent State.
And I thought it was 10 soldiers, not 10.
You thought it was 10 soldiers?
I thought it was 10. It's 10.
Oh.
10 soldiers and Nixon coming. I guess it was like 10 soldiers and Nixon coming. I don't know what I thought. Here, you want to do one more?
I thought Axl Rose was talking about the Balkans in November Rain, so it's okay. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose and nothing. Baby, nothing to remain free. Oh, and freedom, no, we got the blues. And he's after me and me. Then I heard me and Bobby McGee.
There you go. Janis Joplin.
That's right. With Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Really? I didn't know that was an actual thing. She's okay.
I had her CDs, but I was definitely trying to Be cool. Yeah, well, she's fine.
All right, fans. Well, I guess that's it for this recap. We're happy to have you guys. I'd like to say I thank you for all the listeners. Thank you for all of the special guest appearances we had. Brian K., Dick Pepperfield, Andrew S., Mark C., Emily M., Lauren G. If you really put them all next to each other, we had a lot.
That's a crew.
That's a crew.
That's a going out kind of crew.
Maybe one day we'll all get together and reminisce about the early days of the podcast when we're yucking it up with 10,000 downloads an episode.
Yeah, thank you.
But
guys.
I hope you guys all have a safe and happy, or had, I don't know when this is going to be coming out, have or had a safe and healthy
New Year.
New Year, holiday,
Christmas.
and that's it. Enjoy it, guys. John, you got anything to leave us with?
Do it now. Do it later. Do it forever. Stay curious.
Hey, fans, Matt back here. Just if you guys hung on long enough, I just wanted to give you guys a little treat here. This goes out to the people we just mentioned.
Love you guys.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the resurrection, where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
I'm having the time of my life, John.
Right there with you, buddy.
So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and days hanging on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
All right, I hope you guys hung around for that.
And we say bye-bye. Come on, man.